Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear students, today we'll learn cloning in Java. Okay, we have, what is Java, the cloning. What is this all about and all the things we'll be learning here. Okay, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create the copies of an object. So if we go to the Eclipse and try to do something like this, say for example, we got a class here and I'm going to class 1, we got two variables here. I just select it, go to the source and generate a toString method for this, generate a toString method, and I say okay, so it generates me toString methods here. I'm going to remove the java comment here because to make it more clear. Okay, and now this will output me actually a and b's value here, and in the main I create of this class one some object of type 1. I make the ob equals to new 1, right, as a constructor. It's working. Okay, now I would like to put something into the a and b, like say ob dot a equals to 89, and I got ob dot b equals to 98, something like that. And now I do system dot out dot println ob, and just save it and give it a go. This is pretty straightforward because I created the object of this one class and just printed the ob, that object I print, and by default it's printing the toString method, and we know toString method actually has come from the object class, which every class inherits from the object class, and one of the methods is basically in the object class is toString method, second is the equals, and third one is the your clone, which we are going to deal with. Now it's pretty me that it got 89, got 98. Now what if I do one thing, I create another object of type 1, I create ob2 equals to, say for example, ob. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating I'm trying to copy the whatever is in the ob into the ob2. What is here happening? Is this a clone? In fact, it's not, because we do not have the two objects here. It's actually the two reference variables now pointing to the same object. So if I don't print the ob, if I print here the ob2 for example and give it a go, it will be the exact same value. So but it is not the two objects are created, it's not a clone. For example, if I do here like this, I say ob2 dot b equals to 9999 for example, and I try to print here ob, and I have changed it into the ob2, but I'm printing the ob and just give it a go, but it has reflected because the ob and the ob2 are pointing to the same object. If we do this thing, for example, ob2.get class equals ob.get class, because we're referring to the same class, okay, so that's going to be true. But if I say like this, so that we understand there's no different, not a different memory, so I say ob2 not equals to ob. Is it true or false? It should be false, because ob2 I say not equals, but that's false because ob2 is equals to, basically they are equal, so they are pointing to the same object. Okay, so this is not the cloning at all. So cloning means to create objects. What's exactly happening is, and if you argue why we do cloning, we will understand it here. For example, if you have a class, we may have some class and it may have some subclass. It may have some subclass as well, and the thing will go on and we have on downside of class. We could have the multi-level hierarchy. So when you are trying to create an object of this class, you are trying to create the object of this class, right? Before you create the object of this class, the compiler has to go here, so just because supercall will be here. In fact, to all these classes, and superclass and super and even then the object class, then comes back. Okay, it is very time consuming and very hectic process. But this is how our object oriented classes are created in the inheritance. But what we want to do is we want to make a very shortcut. So what we do is we say, hey, this is some class, we already some class, and we want to create now another class. If you want to create another class of this subclass, we have already done this kind of thing, whole stuff. Now we have to do again the same thing, right? So we say that if you have already done the same thing, we have done this whole hard work of creating this subclass, and if you want to create a second class of the same subclass, then what we do is, this is, say for example, the class which we have earlier created. We just see its binary. We just see its binary. We just see, because in the memory we just see what are bits and bytes. Okay, because they will be the zeros and ones and so on, and we just check out what are these zeros and ones, and we create exact replica, exact copy of whatever is here. If it is 0, we put up 0. If it is 1, we put up 1. If it is not 1 or something like that, and we put the same things here. This saves us from jumping around here and coming back here and doing all those things, right? And this thing, because CPU is has got an inbuilt mechanism for copying, so it's gonna be really fast, and it will be very fast copying. Okay, this is basic idea of cloning, that we create a clone which is sort of this thing, and which goes here. But what happens is, cloning is basically having its drawbacks also, because maximum times it is shallow, and then we can also make it a deep, but still cloning has got real problems. So what are the problems? We try to understand them here. It seems to be good. Okay, there are many problems. One of the problems which we can focus here is what has happened to this. We get the black pen. Now we discuss the problems. Okay, number the problem is because of the shallow copy. What will happen is, say for example, this is my class. Say its name is employee, and it has some primitive variables like integers, floats, and all. And it has some, one of the variables is say it has a reference to the, it has some reference value which is pointing to something. Maybe it is an array, okay, or which has two values into it, 24 and 30, or it may be, say it's called AR, or it may be some object of another class or something like that. So this will be created by the new, that means this will be totally different memory location. Now if we create a clone of this employee, say employee2, emp2, I created a clone, emp2 as a clone of, we'll see how clones will be created, which is the replica of the employee, because what is cloning doing is, it's a bitwise copying of the original object. Okay, but what happens here is, it creates the object of all these things here. It will also have the int variables, it will have also this AR reference variable, but it does not create the another copy of this reference object, right? It does not create a copy, but what it does is it points to the same location. That's why we call it as a shallow copy. Now what happens is, if for example you change using this AR, say 24 to 25, and you want to access using this AR, it still is a 25. Second thing is, if you go ahead tomorrow and you delete this object, but still this will be there because this is being pointed by this AR, you can still access this. So it's a kind of problem which we can remove in the deep copy, where we are saying that, hey, if you have got the class, say for example here is not only this thing, but say for example the department object, which points to the department. Department is a department object of a department class, which has a separate object here. Okay, now if you copy it if you clone it, it will not create this object. But in deep, we say, yeah, you go ahead and start making these reference objects as well. Okay, so this is the basic idea about the cloning, and now we're gonna see how we're gonna make our clones. Now, if you want to clone something, say for example this employee class you want to clone, you got to implement clonable interface. Okay, and this interface is is an interface which does not have anything into it. Okay, we call this a marker interface, when there is nothing in it. So why we have a marker interface and all, we'll see them later on. And second thing is, we actually, every class inherits from the object class. Okay, and in the object class we basically have the clone method, which is protected. Okay, so that means it can be accessible by the subclass only, not to the all classes. So what we do is, we want to make this clone, you override that method in your class which you want to make clonable. You override that clone method and make that accessible by making it public. So because you can increase the scope but you can't decrease, but you can increase that, so that your which you want to make the clone can access it. Okay, because some other class you want to make clone of this class, so this class has to be firstly implement the interface, clonable interface, and then make the clone accessible, and you override this clone method which is actually inherited from the object class, and then